Moving to the macros, the RBI governor yesterday said that India's growth is robust and that Q2 GDP will surprise on the upside. Meanwhile, we got a bunch of tax and core sector data which was released yesterday. Do the numbers square with the governor's confidence? Latha is here with the analysis. She's with us in the studio. Latha.
Well, for starters, what did the governor say? I quote, he says, looking at the early indicators, I can say the second quarter GDP in all probability will surprise on the upside. And on the same day, practically the same hour as he was talking, we got the core sector and the fiscal data for July, August, September, the GDP that he was referring to. So let's compare that. Now, if you looked at the gross tax revenues, there, the Q2 gross tax revenues of, overall, all tax put together, grew by 27.8%. I mean, that's huge. When nominal GDP is barely growing by 8-9%. That's a huge number. Q1, it grew only by 3.3%. But still, that brings the H1 to a 16.3% growth. Even better is corporate sector. Corporate sector, the Q-on-Q, the year-on-year growth for Q2 is 45.8% according to data released yesterday. It was minus 13.9 in Q1. And therefore, the H1 data is a very strong 20.2%. And finally, income tax is the best. Q2 over the previous Q2 is a growth of 51.2%, compares with just 11% growth in Q1. And therefore, the H1 is a solid 31% growth in income tax data. Now, you can, if you have such a good income tax data and such a good corporate sector data for Q2, it stands to reason that GDP should have grown well, because value added as well as consumption would both be fueled, one by income tax and one by corporate taxes growing. The other data which came in on October 31st, very strong, and that's core sector. Core sector in first quarter grew by 6% year-on-year, Q1 over Q1. But second quarter, it is 9.68, with some very strong numbers coming from coal, power, steel, etc. So again, that's another sector that shows that, which reflects in the GDP very strongly, has grown very well. So to come back to the governor's statement, the GDP forecast by the RBI itself is 6.5%, and that comes over a 7.8% in Q1. Now, I did a snap poll of economists. Most of them have upped their forecast, and they believe that the GDP, which will be announced on November 30th for July, August, September, will be better than RBI's forecast of 6.5. A lot of them are also revising their own forecast higher. The reasons they point out is the steaming growth in taxes reflects an economy where growth must be good. Second quarter numbers, many of them have been good, not all of them. And finally, US GDP surprising at 4.9%. Usually when the largest economy in the world grows so, in such a robust fashion, it does have a ripple effect even in economies, in the fourth largest economy like India.
Thank you, Latha, for that. The markets are fighting to